There sure is a lot coming out around this article. Yesterday I did a video. A'ja Wilson named the Time Athlete of the Year, Time Magazine. Somebody did have a great question in the comments. Who reads Time these days? That's a good point. That's a hell of a point, to be quite honest with you. But it seems that Time Magazine has reverted back to its D.
One phone call shattered a legend's career. Overnight, A'ja Wilson, a cornerstone of Team USA, vanished from the roster. This wasn't a minor role shift or a temporary sidelining. She was removed entirely. Her name, once synonymous with Olympic gold and WNBA dominance, was simply left off the list. The silence from USA Basketball was deafening, yet it screamed a message that would redefine women's basketball forever. This single decision, unthinkable just months prior, sent shockwaves through the sport, exposing simmering tensions and unveiling a strategic power shift nobody saw coming, directly linked to the sport's biggest star.
That's a great honor. Congratulations to A'ja. But I'm like, what is all this ruckus about? So then we dive deep into it, and it seems like there's some paragraphs from this article that put down Caitlin Clark in order to prop up A'ja, which is crazy because if you guys remember, Caitlin Clark was Time's Sportsperson of the Year just last year. So I haven't actually gone into detail reading these. I wanted to live react to them with you. This video might be a little rambly, a little ranty, but let's jump right in. So
this seismic announcement erupted amidst A'ja Wilson's celebration as Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year. The very article honoring her, however, contained paragraphs that seemed designed to diminish Caitlin Clark, ironically to elevate Wilson. This felt particularly jarring, given Clark herself was Time Sportsperson of the Year just a season ago. The question wasn't just who reads Time anymore, but why this prestigious publication would seemingly pit two of the sport's most prominent figures against each other, reigniting debates about narratives and racial divides that Clark herself has repeatedly denounced.
Now, A'ja Wilson, she got to get this award. And somehow, some way, nothing can ever be done involving A'ja Wilson without either Time Magazine or the sports media using Caitlin Clark's name to get everybody riled up because they called Caitlin Clark's fans toxic, racial, divisive, yada, yada, yada. In other words, used an article to crap on you guys. You, the Caitlin Clark.
Wilson's belief that her place was untouchable, a permanent fixture of Team USA, was the foundation of her downfall. Decades of dominance, Olympic medals, WNBA championships, these were her shields, her guaranteed lock, never to be questioned. She moved with an air of entitlement, assuming her legacy alone would outrank modern metrics like momentum, team chemistry, or the game's evolving direction. This deeply ingrained assumption that her spot was not just earned but owed became her biggest blind spot. The sport was shifting under her feet, but A'ja, operating from a place of unassailable veteran status, failed to adapt, setting the stage for an unprecedented fall from grace.
Y'all are from the nap. As of this moment, the Pacers are up 2-1 in the finals. Has there been anything that surprised you so far in the series? Obviously, Oklahoma City was the best team in the NBA all year, but right now they're not looking like themselves.
What surprised me is just it being the Pacers in the finals.
We aligned in that, brother. I didn't see that coming.
Right.
Okay, well, are y'all fans of the W? We also have the Fever in Indiana as well. What do y'all make of Caitlin Clark's run?
The call came on a routine Friday morning, a moment Wilson anticipated as a mere logistical check-in for a seasoned star. She expected schedules, ceremonial details, perhaps a discussion about her role. Instead, she received a stark reality check that flipped her entire career narrative on its head. The message wasn't about a reduced role, mentoring younger talent, or a temporary rest. It was blunt and absolute. She was removed entirely. No roster spot, no international redemption, no World Cup stage. Just a clean, unmistakable message that Team USA had decisively moved on, leaving her completely blindsided by a decision that felt both sudden and, in hindsight, devastatingly inevitable.
Of the year last year, and in that article she was asked multiple times about these narratives around Caitlin and the racial divide that happens in America, and specifically around women's basketball. It has gotten so insane, and she has denounced it so many times. She said it in the Time Times article that she doesn't want her name to be used for these different negative and divisive things that it's used for. And the fact that Time Magazine named her Sports Person of the Year in 2024 and then in 2025 turn around and put something like this in an article, by the way, you guys, that is supposed to prop up.
Her inner circle was stunned not just by the decision, but by how it suddenly made perfect sense in retrospect. Wilson had meticulously planned her year around international play, turning down lucrative endorsements and adjusting her entire training regimen. She spoke publicly with the unwavering confidence of someone whose name would always be called, operating from a place of absolute certainty. This fundamental assumption, however, proved to be her most significant error. While Asia relied on past laurels and perceived entitlement, USA Basketball was meticulously operating from a different playbook entirely, one rooted in cold, hard data and strategic foresight.
So yeah, this is not a video that I want to ever have to make. It's not a great video, and it's just unfortunately, again, something that has to be talked about because, and by the way, this is something that I would love to kind of not bring up ever, because this is a topic that isn't basketball, and at the end of the day, I would much rather be talking about Team USA camp in a positive light. But at the end,
Unknown to Wilson, USA Basketball was quietly building its case, not on reputation but on comprehensive data, intricate chemistry reports, media impact analyses, and a long, unforgiving memory. Every public comment, every nuanced jab, every subtle shift and praise away from rising stars towards unnamed veterans was meticulously tracked. They saw a pattern emerging, a subtle but unmistakable undercurrent in her carefully polished statements. While she spoke of respecting the grind and veterans being overlooked, the unspoken subtext about the sport's most prominent new face was becoming impossible to ignore, solidifying their long-term strategic shift.
Asia Wilson hit the game winner with 2.2 seconds left on the clock. Her number is 22, so the stars aligned for Asia, and she hit this shot over Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner. This play was drawn up with 5 seconds left on the clock. So the Aces had the ball. There was about 20 seconds left on the clock. They're dribbling around. Nothing's happening. And Coach Becky Hammon calls a timeout with 5 seconds left on the clock. And I remember in my head thinking, this is the perfect scenario for the Aces. 5 seconds is almost the perfect amount of time to make a play happen, because if you do make...
As Caitlin Clark's profile exploded, the tone of these remarks sharpened considerably. Wilson began nitpicking shooting percentages, conveniently ignoring assist totals, and consistently downplaying Clark's overall impact by narrowing success to selective, often irrelevant statistics. She repeatedly redirected praise away from Clark's undeniable influence, instead highlighting anonymous veteran players who in her view deserved the spotlight more. Each milestone Clark reached seemed to trigger another calculated recalibration from Wilson, designed specifically to reduce its significance. USA Basketball, meticulously observing every detail, took careful note of this divisive pattern, recognizing its potential long-term damage.
Neither have I.
I actually went to the WNBA All-Star.
I went to a game once
last year. That was dope.
Fellas, y'all gotta tap in, man. It's good hoop. It's good hoop. See, now you should get a reaction video from watching the WNBA game and being blown away by the skills, athleticism, and efficiency of WNBA basketball.
The breaking point wasn't a single explosive comment or a solitary contentious interview. It was a gradual accumulation of concerns that escalated to a level directly impacting team participation and overall morale. Players quietly began to question whether international camps would become uncomfortable environments, whether leadership within the team was truly unified, and whether the internal tension, increasingly palpable, would ultimately sabotage performance on the world stage. For an organization that valued chemistry as its most precious currency, this was an entirely unacceptable risk. The unity of the squad was paramount, and the simmering discord threatened its very foundation.
Asia Wilson is the GOAT of the WNBA.
Cap, Maya Morris. And I think people will have to understand, yeah, Asia got 3 chips, but guess who got 4? Maya Moore. She did it every other year. She did it in 2011, 2013, 2015, 2017. So that was a dynasty era. And Maya Moore retired early. She did this in a short career span. That last one was what, 2017? That's not that long ago.
Let's pop it for Asia. Wilson, man. When you talk about the defensive player of the year,
While Wilson's agents frantically scrambled to comprehend how a two-time Olympic gold medalist, a bona fide WNBA legend, could possibly be left off a roster that included a player with no prior World Cup experience, the stark answer was already meticulously documented across 2 years of her public behavior. USA Basketball did not perceive a misunderstood veteran battling unfair narratives. Instead, they clearly saw a consistent pattern of division, a powerful leader seemingly unwilling or unable to coexist harmoniously with the sport's most influential and rapidly ascending force. The message was clear: unity transcended individual accolades.
But at the end of the day, this is something that I feel like the reason why I feel like I have to talk about this is because of when this happened a year ago, the way certain prominent media members reacted. These are media members that are being pushed by the league. These are media members that no matter what would be given credentials by the league. The way they blamed Caitlin Clark for the situation, they somehow used this as some sort of gotcha against Caitlin Clark, just because they didn't even have the common decency to treat Caitlin Clark.
Simultaneously, as Wilson absorbed the crushing shock of her removal, another phone call was being made, its tone a complete and utter contrast. Caitlin Clark wasn't merely being named to the roster, she was being handed the keys to the entire operation. She was designated the starting point guard, the offensive engine, and the public face of Team USA heading into the crucial 2026 World Cup. This monumental decision wasn't a knee-jerk reaction to current hype or fleeting popularity. It was the deliberate conclusion of many months of meticulous internal planning, a calculated strategic move for the future.
A'ja Wilson won Time Athlete of the Year, and in the article, it gets a little messy, man. We're about to get all the way into it, but before we do that, y'all make sure y'all hit the like and hype for your boy. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 35.7, so if you can help me out with that, I highly appreciate it. And don't forget to get in the comment section and let me know what y'all think about this one. Let's get it. All right, so like I stated, man, A'ja Wilson won Time Athlete of the Year, and in this article, man, she brings up Caitlin Clark.
USA Basketball had painstakingly built its long-term strategy around Clark's unique and transformative game, her unparalleled gravity on the court, her masterful pace control, and her undeniable ability to elevate teammates, even on nights when her own shot wasn't falling, were central to their vision. Internal analysts within the program had extensively tracked how opposing defenses warped and shifted around her presence, how she single-handedly created valuable space for others, and how seamlessly her decision-making translated to the intricacies of international rule. Clark was no longer just an elite player, she was the indispensable infrastructure of their future.
It's just bound to happen, man. And I wouldn't necessarily say it was her who brought up Caitlin Clark. Maybe it was Time Magazine's questions that brought up Caitlin Clark. But nonetheless, there's a Caitlin Clark piece in this article that has the internet buzzing right now. Have the internet going crazy. So let's go ahead and get into what was said here. It says her rocket ship run comes at an opportune time. In 2024, Caitlin Clark's rookie season helped the WNBA hit milestone TV and attendance.
Clark's endorsement footprint further amplified this undeniable reality. With numerous global campaigns already actively underway, USA Basketball profoundly understood that having Clark represent the country was not merely competitive leverage, it was an unparalleled cultural leverage. She possessed the unique ability to carry American women's basketball into international markets it had never fully penetrated before, transcending traditional boundaries. Crucially, she achieved this remarkable feat without generating controversy, exhibiting bitterness, or displaying any hint of entitlement, embodying the progressive spirit the organization sought to project worldwide. This was a complete paradigm shift. What ultimately sealed USA Basketball's monumental decision, however, transcended mere numbers, global reach, or strategic game analytics. It was Caitlin Clark's response to the news. When she received the life-changing call, she did not inquire about hierarchy, question the immense pressure, or demand any guarantees regarding her role. Her immediate, unselfish question was profoundly simple: how can I help the team succeed? That single, genuine answer alone justified every strategic shift and every difficult decision made. It spoke volumes about her character and her profound understanding of true leadership, distinguishing her completely. The stark contrast between Wilson's and Clark's reactions spoke volumes, providing USA Basketball with every piece of information it needed about leadership in this rapidly evolving era. One player, A'ja Wilson, seemingly viewed the team as a personal platform for validation, a place to reaffirm her established status. The other player, Caitlin Clark, instinctively saw it as a profound responsibility, a collective endeavor requiring selflessness. This fundamental difference wasn't just about individual personalities, it illuminated a philosophical chasm between two approaches to leading on the global stage, one rooted in self, the other in service. Clark's elevation signaled a profound philosophical shift within Team USA. The organization was no longer interested in simply preserving legacy for its own sake, clinging to past glories. Its primary focus had decisively shifted towards unity, adaptability, and achieving unparalleled global resonance. They consciously chose momentum over nostalgia, opting for cohesion over mere seniority. In the ruthless arena of international competition, there is no room for leniency or sentimentality. Hand checks are called rigorously, moving screens are punished without mercy, and veteran status buys absolutely nothing. This environment demands a specific type of player to thrive. Wilson, a player whose game was largely built on physical imposition and dominance, often found herself accumulating fouls instead of points in the unforgiving international environment. Clark's game, by stark contrast, thrives precisely in that high-pressure, tightly officiated setting. She does not rely on leniency from officials or intimidation tactics. Her effectiveness is built on masterful spacing, impeccable timing, unparalleled court vision, and incisive decision-making that remains lethal regardless of any officiating standards. Even when her shot isn't falling, defenders simply cannot leave her, because her gravitational pull actively reshapes the entire floor in real time. From USA Basketball's strategic perspective, this was far more than just selecting the most individually talented players. It was fundamentally about selecting the right players, those uniquely suited for the global stage and its distinct challenges. A'ja Wilson represented a style of play that inherently required protection and leniency from officials to maximize its impact. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, represented a dynamic, skill-based style that required no such special allowances, perfectly aligning with international standards. This distinction was critical, signaling a clear strategic preference for adaptability and rules-agnostic performance on the global hardwood. Wilson's removal sent a resounding message that echoed far beyond just one roster spot. It reverberated through locker rooms across the entire league. Brands, observing this shift, no longer want division or internal conflict. They are actively seeking faces that genuinely grow the game, not those who fracture it through perceived slights or subtle negativity. International leagues, when evaluating American talent, are now looking beyond just impressive box scores. They are meticulously assessing public presence, genuine leadership energy, and critically, compatibility with team-first systems. Wilson's credentials were never in question, but her approach most certainly was. Clark's continued, unyielding rise, achieved consistently without ever retaliating or even publicly responding to criticism, reinforced a crucial lesson the sport is finally embracing. You simply cannot diminish someone who relentlessly keeps delivering while impeccably maintaining composure, grace, and professionalism. Eventually, the negativity, the subtle jabs, and the perceived slights reflect only on their source, not on the target. International basketball, with its high stakes and global audience, has absolutely no patience for petty politics or internal squabbles. There are championships to win and vast audiences around the world to inspire, requiring unified focus. Elite organizations operate on a principle where silence, when paired with decisive action, often conveys the loudest and most impactful message of all. Internally, USA Basketball's rationale was crystal clear and unwavering. The program fundamentally no longer desired leaders who meticulously measured their relevance by constant comparison to others, or who desperately clung to their status through overt opposition. Instead, it sought out leaders who possessed the inherent ability to carry the sport powerfully forward, elevating everyone around them without ever needing to diminish anyone else in that vital process. This was a non-negotiable standard. Caitlin Clark fit that forward-thinking vision almost too perfectly. Her meteoric rise has never been fueled by an entitlement to attention or simmering resentment towards others. She didn't demand the spotlight, it simply followed her, drawn by the captivating way she plays the game. It's in the way opposing defenses visibly panic the moment she crosses half court, and in the instinctive trust her teammates place in her decision-making. Crucially, she grasps that attention is not a finite, scarce resource to be jealously guarded like territory, but rather an expansive opportunity to collectively grow the game for everyone involved. Ajad Wilson's leadership, by stark contrast, became increasingly inward-facing, focused on defending her established position rather than embracing the sport's evolution. Instead of adapting fluidly to the changing dynamics of the league in its new era, she framed progress as displacement, viewing new energy as a threat. Instead of enthusiastically embracing the influx of new fans and unprecedented global attention, she regrettably questioned its legitimacy, sowing seeds of doubt. This defensive posture, while perhaps resonating in moments of personal frustration, ultimately crumbles under the weight of a long-term unified vision for the sport's global expansion. A'ja Wilson believed her place was permanent, insulated by an extraordinary legacy. Team USA, with its decisive action, profoundly disagreed. The strategic decision to remove her, while simultaneously handing Caitlin Clark the keys, was neither cruel nor disrespectful, but a calculated, forward-thinking move. It reflected precisely where women's basketball is unmistakably headed, not where it has been. The future belongs to players who fundamentally understand that elevating the game elevates everyone, a reality Clark embodies. This new direction, reshaping how power, influence, and credibility are earned, now defines women's basketball globally.